All right, Mr. Chair, the YouTube stream is live, so if you'd like to start with the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Before I continue with my remarks, I'd just like to take a moment and introduce to you the personnel at the front of the room here. First, our panel. On my far left, Natalia Popovic. On my immediate left, Laura Alderson. On my near right, Bill Dalton. And on my far right, Rick Ross. We also have our Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Barb Bartosik, on the left end of the desk. And we have support staff on the far right-hand edge of this desk and in the area in front of the panel. And my name is Donald Taylor. I'm chairing this morning's meeting. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your time is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Now, before hearing the first item this morning, we will need confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. Could I have a motion to adopt those minutes? Mr. Ross, thank you. And a seconder? Mr. Lawton, thank you. All in favor? Okay, those minutes are adopted. I would ask if there are any declarations of interest of panel or staff for items in this morning time slot. Panel? Staff? No. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral on this morning's agenda?
Two that I'm aware of, Mr. Chair. Item 6 for 429 Kipling Avenue and item 16 for 337 Maple Leaf Drive.
Okay, thank you. We'll deal with those first in a moment. And Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have any files to close this morning?
None today, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, let's deal with the two deferral items from this morning's agenda. First, number 6, 429 Kipling Avenue. The agent is Stephen Key. Stephen, are you available?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow committee members. My name is Stephen Chi, an associate from Design Plan Services.
Yes, thank you. Could you just explain your reasons for requesting deferral?
Sounds good. So as stated in my formal deferral request submitted to the Committee of Adjustment staff, we agree with the planning staff's recommendation to defer the application in order for the applicant to submit the SPA application and to continue the discussion with staff through the SPA process. We will also like to respectfully request the committee to reschedule this application for a hearing day in October. There are 2 hearing days available in October, October 10th and October 24th. We're confident that either date would provide adequate time for the owner to complete the SPA submission and discussion with city staff. We already made 2 pre-con submission and met with city staff multiple times for the SPA. And now we're just finalizing the submission package and completing the SPA submission. We just need to smooth out some details with staff through the SPA process. This will really help us to facilitate this project and necessary approval process in a timely manner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So
Madam
members,
Deputy Secretary Treasurer, could we at this time commit to either October the 10th or 24th?
No, it should be deferred to the next available hearing date. Our office is pretty good about rescheduling. We don't have a big backlog, and if there are any changes to the application as a result of the site plan application, we would require revised materials before we could reschedule it. So we don't want to schedule it and then have to defer it because we don't have the correct information.
Okay, so we can't commit to either of your preferred dates, but we'll just have to see how things roll out, sir, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone in the hearing room that came to speak about 429 Kipling Avenue? No? And Adam, is there anyone online that wishes to speak to this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So let's take this matter into committee then for a decision on a request to defer for reasons outlined by the agent.
Mr. Chair, based on the reasons requested by the applicant, I move to defer this matter to the next available date.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Ms. Alderson, thank you. All in favor? Okay, that application has been deferred. Thank you very much. Okay, now moving on to the next deferral request, which is item 16. The agent is David D. Giorgio. David, are you online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Daniel DeGiorgio here.
Okay, you're aware, sir, that this is what we call an automatic deferral and that there was an error in the notice,
That's correct. Thank you.
correct? Do you have anything else to add?
No additional comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the hearing room that came to speak about 337 Maple Leaf Drive? No. And anyone online, Adam?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So let's take this matter into committee for a decision then.
Mr. Chair, yeah, just bring to my attention that it has been already rescheduled for the August hearing. 15th to be exact.
Is a motion then redundant? Or do we need a motion?
Well, no, we've sent out revised notice, but it hasn't been deferred. So we do need a deferral motion to August 15th.
Okay, I'll make that motion, that it be heard on August the 15th.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? Okay, that motion to defer has been approved unanimously. Okay, we can now move back to the agenda and proceed with items in order. The first item is 4 Del Basso Court. This is the purpose of this application is to legalize and to maintain the existing one-story side addition and rear deck. There are 5 variances. We have a community planning condition. We have 2 letters of support, 1 letter of opposition, and we also have participating virtually a speaker, or I guess a representative of
Mr. Chair, yeah, the area resident at
The
3 Del
property across the
Basso is
street?
present
yeah. Oh, they're present here at this morning?
on WebEx.
Virtually. Okay, and the agent is Yasai Sarkissian,
Yes.
sir?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess in light of the opposition, if you could make this is a very straightforward application, but if you could make a very brief presentation and maybe anticipate the opposition in the remarks that you make.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All this started in spring 2022 when my mother-in-law, which is present here, and she and my wife Christine, they own the building, the house. She fell during was like springtime in the ice and in the front entrance with no cover. So it was a side entrance, but side entrance also it was like icicles was forming. So we said, why we don't make small porch there? So it's access easier for her to go inside the house instead of going from front stairs. And actually, in summer 2002, he broke his wrist, his elbow, and then even broke the right hip, and lately 2024 the left hip. So she's a very fragile person. So we said, provide her something. So we we start building that porch. I had no idea that we need a permit for that. It was just a small addition at the side. So we built a stud building. We went up, almost completed, not surely. And one day the building inspector came and said, "What you're doing?" I said, "Just making a sport porch for mother-in-law." She said, "Do you have a permit?" I said, "I did not know that we need a permit for this small addition." And I said, "Oh, why, like, how come you came?" He says, "The neighbor complained you're making noises," and stuff like that. So she said, "You have to stop everything." So we did. We did put one nail after that. And Christmas time, my mother-in-law asked me to make a manger for the Christmas. So I still started using the saw, make some noise. Apparently the neighbor complained again, and the inspector called me. "I told you not to do nothing." I said, "Believe me, I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch not one screw in that addition." And after that, so right away I applied for permit. As soon as the first time he asked me, I applied for the permit, and then suddenly the zoning issue came. I had no clue actually. Apparently the rear end setback is not respected. The house was 7 meters something. Apparently the new one is 9 meters. So we said, what we do? So he said, you have to go committee adjustment to do that. So we did, we did all the papers needed. We went committee adjustment. I met with Rose, Nicole Rose. She said, "You know what, to make sure that everything is okay, please provide me a new updated survey." So we did pay for it. We took time and we did the survey. We handed in. And in the survey, they showed there is a deck now. The deck was built 5 years ago. We had, again, no idea we need a permit for that. Simple thing. First thing we did for her, a deck so she can go out, relax, have his flowers, have her coffee, stuff like that. So now more points came in because of that survey. And the points, you can see it in the report, there is 5 points, I think. And we came here just to ask if you can permit us to finish the porch and have the deck. You can use it for her. This is the overall story.
Okay, thank you. If you could just sit down, sir, just for a moment, and we're going to listen to Sergio Giacomel, who is here representing, I believe, the neighbor across the street at number 3.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Or maybe it's the neighbor himself. Okay. Mr. Giacomel?
Good morning, committee. Yes, I'm here.
I can't hear you.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm here.
Sergio, I'm really sorry, but it's darn near impossible to hear you. If you could get closer to your microphone, and maybe we could be able to hear you a bit better.
Can you hear me now?
It's technically it improved, but if you could keep trying, there's maybe even closer if possible.
And speak as loudly as possible. You have a very soft voice. If you can speak as loudly as possible.
Can you hear me now?
It's getting better.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Committee. These allegations here, it's not a porch, it's a room. It's an actual room. So there is I gotta make a clarification here. And my allegation into this is that this is a room, and people are gonna live there. This is part. This is gonna be made part of the house, and it's not just a covered porch. And there is windows there where there was no windows in that wall before, and there's only one window in looking at my side of the property. That window there, it's constantly I've been watched constantly, you know. And now in a wall or let's say in a side that there was no windows at all, now there's going to be 3 or 4 windows there. So I'm concerned about the invasion of my privacy, Your Honor. This is the
Okay,
concern that I have.
Okay, sir, do you live across the street? You're
Right next door, not across, right next door, 4 feet from the new construction.
Okay.
I am in number 3, right next door. And I am, I understand that you had 2 letters of approval or let's say consent. But of course, nobody else, it's that corner that directly concerns me, affects me. The other neighbors, of course, nobody else did any, they don't even know that room exists because it's in a corner directly on my side, like a facing my house, my privacy, my backyard. I had to build a fence higher to get some privacy. Or actually what I did, and I don't know if you have pictures, I built trees. I planted trees in order to get some privacy. And the lady, she's been cutting them. So I have a concern of my privacy here, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the chamber this morning that came to speak about 4 Del Basso Court? No? And no one online?
That is correct. Just the resident at 3 Del Basso who just spoke.
Okay, Mr. Sarkissian, could you come back up and respond to your neighbor?
Yeah,
concerns that he
respectfully,
has.
I have to disagree with him because we have a wooden fence which is 6 feet high. Actually, the fence is higher than window. So no way that from window standing on the ground, you can see him or you can see his privacy. The other windows above this were existing. We didn't add any window higher than maybe 5 feet. I can see in the photo. And then he's saying that there is trees that he planted. Those trees was before he bought the house. Actually, they are savage trees that are growing between the fence. Actually, he has an addition. If you see the thing, its addition is only 14 inches from our property. That addition, the house actually is totally illegal. But maybe he was, like we say, old dad or something like it was before. But 100% we cannot, nothing changed with privacy. You cannot see him. We can hear us, but we cannot see him. He cannot see us. The fence is higher. I don't know, maybe he has his attitude of being maybe seen from somebody else. Even he asked the agent on that time, remember, if you can add the 2 feet lettuce on the fence. So maybe, but actually from the addition we did the porch, the enclosed porch. Actually, in the permit we're saying this enclosed porch. At nowhere know how we can see him or he can see us. And the roof of the addition actually is lower than the straw of the existing house. So it's a tiny thing. I know it looks like it's a room, but it's covered. I'm not saying it's just open deck. It's covered porch. And sincerely, I think we're not interfering with his life anyway.
Okay,
That is the truth from our side.
Thank you. Just before you go, panel, do you have any questions for Mr. Sarkissian?
Yeah, I do, actually. Your neighbor keeps referring to this as a room. This is not a room.
No,
This
it's
is
not a room.
this
It's
is
not
a
hell.
covered porch, right?
Yes, covered porch. There's no heat. There's no nothing. In summertime you can use it. You can sit, but wintertime you cannot.
So it's not like someone is living in it
No,
and
no, no,
looking
no.
out the window.
No, 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 no.
No,
No, totally no. Yeah,
that's what I was
it's a covered porch. It has a door, has a window. Like when you go in, there's like the wind, the snow. It doesn't come in, right?
Right.
If it's as open porch, it's exposed to the elements.
And there is a window there,
There's a window, yes. There's a nice window there, yeah.
just to let the light in.
And the door and this side door going to be sliding door to going to outside.
So what's shown on the photos is an addition. That's not a porch.
Sorry? Yeah, here. This left side is the door, that's the window, which is lower than the deck. It's the fence.
Porch.
That's an addition. If it has walls, it's not a porch anymore.
Yeah, we call it the covered porch. Yes, it
But
is
it
an
has
addition.
walls, it has a
Yes,
window,
correct, correct.
it has
Yeah, but it's
doors.
not heated like it's
That's
not.
not a porch.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's an addition.
Okay. Yeah, and then this is for like you put like it was winter time. You put the garbage bins inside. Like it's practical thing actually. It's not living space.
Sir, how many square meters is the
I
the
don't
quote
rem-
room?
I think it's 14 by 12. It's less than 200 square foot. No, I think very close. The square footage was zoning raised the question, but we resolved it. It's below the.
It's 6.5 by 3.5 meters.
Okay.
So
Size of
it's about 230 square feet.
We just we took the edge of the house this way and then align it with other
And there's no heat.
no heat, no heat, no what, no nothing, no electricity, nothing. Just to facilitate access for her and to use it as a especially winter time as a storage area.
Can we,
But it's covered. If it rains, it's protected.
can
If
we
it's
refer
not.
to this porch as an enclosed, a fully enclosed porch and not call it an addition? Is that
Yeah, it's a fully closed porch. Yes, we don't deny
fully
that. Yeah.
enclosed porch?
Yeah.
Because there will be doors.
Yes, it is one door, one sliding door going to backyard, and then window. Yes.
No, at this point, we're in rebuttal. It's committee members asking the agent questions.
Just she's saying that my height is so short that even I don't see the fence. I think because I think Sergio is complaining about her watching him, but she is, look at her. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
How's your eyesight? I'm just kidding. Okay, are there any other comments? No? Okay. Then let's go into committee for comments if
decision?
anybody wishes to make.
Well, I understand the necessity for the structure. I'm going to refer to it as a fully enclosed porch rather than an addition because there is no heat. And I personally, I don't understand the neighbor's concern regarding privacy because I don't think if it's not a room, it's somewhere to store recycling bins and to go in and out of the house, I don't think his privacy is really affected. So I am going to make a motion for approval of all the variances subject to, there are no.
Yeah, planning.
Sorry, planning memo?
Yep.
Sorry, I don't
And a
have one.
condition, including a condition.
CP has one condition, yes. So you're aware of that one condition, right, sir?
From the planning department, they have a condition of approval?
The permit has to
You're
be
aware of
done. Yeah, after this is past the zoning issues, then we're going to provide Mr. Delha, the building inspector, the building examiner.
You
To provide them. Yes,
answered their question. Are you aware of the planning condition?
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
so we're in
Thank
a
you.
motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, subject to
To,
community planning condition.
Community planning condition, one condition, yes.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? Okay, your application is approved unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks for
I
coming.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you from my mother-in-law.
Have a good winter.
Okay, we can now move to item 2. 41 Clareville Drive. This is a revised application. Whoops. The purpose of this application is to create 14 additional parking spaces located at the front of the building. There's one variance. There were 2, but the second one was removed. We have urban forestry condition 2 And we have clearances from Ravine and Natural Features and TRCA. Is there anyone in the room that came to speak about 41 Clareville Drive? No? And Adam, no one online, I presume?
Just the agent, Mr. Chair.
Okay, the agent is David Chui.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, David. I think I'm just going to presume this is a pretty straightforward matter and ask my colleagues if they need a presentation. No, we don't really need a presentation from you, sir. You're certainly entitled to say anything if you will believe it will help us in our deliberations, but would you be content just to answer any questions that the panel may have of you?
If it's okay, I'll try to make it really quick.
Okay, again, tell us something we don't know.
Okay, I mean, you know everything. We've got forestry approval. We work diligently with them. We got transportation approval. So we've actually planted a lot of landscaping in lieu. Actually, that 14 is incorrect. We're actually only adding 11 parking spaces.
Is
And
that,
then 5.
sorry,
Yeah,
let's just stop right there for a minute. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, does that constitute a notice problem? The fact that the proposal is 11 rather than 14?
We have an email from the agent on file saying they're requesting an additional 14. So I don't know how all of a sudden it's 11.
Well, so just so you know, we have enough parking on site to meet zoning. We're just asking additional parking because our tenant needs additional parking. So it's not really a zoning bylaw or a deficiency in parking. So whether or not we were asking respectfully, whether or not we were showing 14, 17, or 11, it's not a bylaw. The bylaw is really the landscaping width deficiency is really the variance that we're seeking today. I just wanted to be upfront that we're not getting 14.
Yeah.
We're getting 11.
Okay, so yeah, really the only matter at issue here is the width of the soft landscaping strip, not the number of parking spaces.
Correct.
Yeah.
And out of the 11, 5 of them are barrier free, which we really don't need respectfully. So we're really adding 6.
I'm sorry, you're adding 6 what?
6 regular parking spaces because they're
Yeah, you've removed that variance.
11.
You've removed the variance.
Sorry?
We understand that. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yep.
Okay, is there anything else?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Panel, any questions?
So I'd like to ask the question about given all the rain we've been having, the reduction in the soft landscaping. Why is that necessary? It's supposed to be 3 meters and you're going at 1.75.
1.91.
Yes.
Sorry, 1.91, sorry.
Yeah, so we're really seeking 1 meter less. As a result, we worked hard. So we retained the original landscape architect that did the previous site plan agreement. So as a result, we've actually made concession to add 16 trees in compensation. It turns out that most of the trees that's on the boulevard is actually diseased. It's not xeriscape or indigenous to the area. So we're actually planting 16 additional trees. We're adding a lot of shrubs as well as perennials and grasses as well in compensation. We think it's a better landscape solution than what's currently there. But the reason being is we want to add two parking spaces within the singular driving space, the driving aisle. And because a parking spot is 6 meters, it's unfortunately causing us to not have sufficient landscaping. So I wish we had 3 meters. We don't, because after we allocate a parking stall, which is 6 meter in depth, Instead of having 3 meters, we actually have 1.91. So we're actually seeking a 1 meter deficiency in landscaping.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, then, can we go into committee then for a decision? And again, we have urban forestry condition 2. And I guess that's it in terms of conditions.
I'd like to move a motion for approval. I believe the one variance now meets the 4 tests, subject to the forestry condition.
And I guess we should clarify the amendment to the purpose to create 11.
No, Mr. Chair, their application information, including the site plan that you have on file, shows 14.
Okay. Okay, so a straightforward motion with urban forestry condition 2. Is there a seconder for Mr.?
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Alderson, thank you very much. All in favor? Okay, that's approved unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, 1 West Rose Avenue. Purpose is to construct a second-story rear addition. There are 3 variances. We have a Metrolinx advisory. We have urban forestry 4 and 5, which is defer or refuse. And we also have a standalone memo from urban forestry requesting condition 2 regarding a private tree. And in additional material, we have an applicant's presentation and revised plans. Panel, do we see this as a straightforward matter not requiring a presentation, or does anyone wish to have a presentation?
I would like a presentation because urban forestry is asking for refusal.
Okay. So we have Zuzana Krikorka, the agent?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So
Okay,
could you
thank
make...
you. Good morning.
Good morning. If you could please make I know that you did recently send in a presentation, which we reviewed, but if you could make an oral presentation to us at this time, that would be good.
Sure. May I speak to the forestry issue first and then?
That's principally what we're interested in, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that there's no work going on in the front yard. There was a mistake on the plans that showed the hardscaping as a larger extent that didn't line up with the survey that we got. So I have an additional arborist plan now, which I did try to submit, but it was too late. And it is showing tree protection around the tree in the front yard, just as a matter of course, but there's absolutely nothing being done on the front yard. The only work is at the back. And that addition is also showing on the new arborist tree protection plan as a second-story addition with 5 piers, and those piers will be helical piles. And we have notes on the tree protection plan showing exactly the work that needs to be done around those helical piles and how there'll be a pre-dig, and there's we are very committed to working with forestry. I think that the issue was that they did think that we were doing work in the front and have not had time to communicate with them properly that there's no work done to the front of the house. Because I believe that their main concern was with the tree on the front.
Yeah, a privately owned tree, not on the city property, correct?
The privately owned tree is in the backyard, and that's the one where the addition, which will be built on piles, will have a tree protection zone around it, and we do have an arborist plan for that now.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Ms.
No, I'm satisfied that they're trying to do everything they can do to preserve the tree canopy on their property. So if no one else has any questions, I'm.
Well, I think just an
Sorry.
opportunity for participants here. Anyone in the room here to speak about 1 Westeros? No? And no one online?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, proceed, Ms. Alderson.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on that.
problem.
Anyway, yes, I'm satisfied that they're doing whatever they need to do, and subject to urban forestry condition number 2, I believe this, sorry, I'm not, yeah, it's not number 2, it's number 4 and 5. Is there a substitute for 4 and 5?
2.
2. Sorry, yes, I did get it right.
And sorry, just before we proceed, Mr. Dalton, you have a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the additional materials you submitted at notes for coverage as 39.9%, but the
yes.
variance
Yes.
on the notice is 39.98. Which is it?
39.9, yes.
So 39.9 and not 9.8.
Okay, thank you.
So you wish to revise that variance so that it's,
It's actually an improvement.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to amend item number 1?
I'm not sure what would be involved in doing that.
Well, it's
Is
pretty
that-
minor. I think
You
we
can
could certainly
request it
entertain
now.
that as a request from you if you make it.
We wouldn't need revised plans for that.
I would say to leave it alone, Mr. Chair, just because it was based on a zoning review, and I don't want them to have an issue when they apply for a permit.
Okay.
Sure,
Okay,
that
we'll-
sounds good.
Fair enough.
We'll leave it as is then.
Okay.
So your motion then, Ms. Alderson, would stand,
Yeah,
I
subject to
believe.
urban forestry condition 2, I move for approval. I believe it meets the 4 tests.
And is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? Okay, that's, application has been approved. Thank you very much, Ms. Kirkoka.
Thank you. Have a nice
Okay.
day.
You too. Okay, moving on to item 4, 16 Benstro Avenue. This is, purpose of this application is to construct a 1-story front addition, a complete 2nd-story addition, a rear yard deck, and to maintain the existing shed and detached garage in the rear yard. We have one agency comment from Community Planning who is requesting refusal of variance 3, which is to reduce from the required 50% rear yard soft landscaping to 12.3%.
Mr. Chair, I'm really sorry that you had to say all that stuff before I let you know about this information. I tried to catch it before, but we do not have the agent for item number 4 on the line at this time. We have reached out to them via email, but we have not got any response back yet.
Okay, can we proceed in the absence of a?
The notice does state that you can.
Okay. I had this, no, I didn't have this down as straightforward. Well, okay,
Maybe we stand it down to the very last item of the AM session then, and we'll
All
continue
right,
to try
all
and
right.
reach the agent. And then if the agent, so at this point, we'll assume we'll do it last. And if the agent does show up, I will let you guys know.
okay,
Cool. Thank you. Right.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, we'll stand that one down then.
Thank you, Mr.
for
Chair.
now. Okay, we'll move down to item 5, 155 Lake Promenade. Purpose is to legalize and to maintain the interior and exterior alterations to the existing dwelling. There was an order to comply issued with respect to this application. We have urban forestry condition 2 and a clearance from TRCA. And the agent is Mayron Haydari, who is you, I believe, sir. Thank you. I had this noted as being quite straightforward, unless any of us require a presentation. We don't really require a presentation, so it's a pretty straightforward application. Would you be okay if we just left it to any questions that we may have of you?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, are there any questions?
I just wanted to comment that this particular property has been in existence since 2007. So I'm a little confused with the, to legalize and maintain something that's been there for that long. And the variance is FSI. So I'm just wondering if the applicant could comment on that. The house has been there since 2007, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, member of the committee. My name is Mehran Haidari from PMP Design Group. So yes, exactly. We have no staff report, and we have the alteration inside. And the only things that pay attention by the zoning examiner, because the house is existing and there is no addition, any footprint or site alteration, only deck, everything. So it's just the interior alteration, and for this reason, the GFA is inside of the house is more than what the bylaw is. So this is why we have to legalize the existing condition.
Okay, I get it, even though it's been there for
Yes.
a long time. I just wanted to comment that the property looks very well maintained, well landscaped, and which hides the massing.
Yeah, there is no alteration on the landscaping, and I believe the forestry report is requested because of the construction may affect the trees on the front, and we need to arborists to prepare the plan with the protection for the trees during construction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there anyone in the room that came to speak to 155 Lake Promenade? No? And Adam, no one online?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. No one online.
Okay. So are there any other questions of the applicant? No? Then let's go in camera and make a decision.
Mr. Chair.
There, one condition, urban forestry too.
Mr. Chair, I propose to move to approve on the basis of the submissions made here today, including urban forestry condition, and I note that TRCA has no objection to this property. I believe it meets the 4 tests, and move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for that motion? Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? Okay, your application is approved unanimously. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Presenting. Okay, item 6, 429 Kipling Avenue. This is a deferral request of both community planning and the agent.
Mr. Chair, 6 has been deferred already.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I forgot I had a line drawn through that one. Okay, we're done. Let's go to number 7. 188 New Toronto Street. The purpose of the application is to construct a mezzanine in the existing warehouse. There is one variance, a Metrolinx advisory, no other agency comments. Is anyone in the chamber here to speak to this item?
According to my records, yes, Mr. Chair, one person is present in chambers to speak to the item, and then the agent is online.
Okay, so someone is here to speak to 188 New Toronto? Yes, no?
Sorry, I'm one item ahead, Mr. Chair. I was on item 8 there.
So there's no one in
No for 7.
No one in the room. So the agent is Stephanie Matviva. Ms. Matviva?
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Yeah, this is I would suggest, unless my panelists disagree, very straightforward. Do we require a presentation? No. Would you be okay if we left it asking you any questions if we have any, and not having a presentation?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, let's do that then. So, panel, any questions? All right, then let's move right into committee for a decision.
I'd like to move a motion. I believe this application is very straightforward. It meets the 4 tests, and I move a motion for approval.
Is there a
There are no
seconder?
conditions.
Mr. Ross, thank you. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Medveda. Item number 8, 8 Dunning Crescent. Purpose of the application is to construct a 2-story attached garage along the west side of the existing dwelling. There's one variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 1.2 meters to 0.35. We have one opposition letter and a planning condition. We have the agent, Charles Chanwai, and we have a registered speaker, Frank Feldman. Is that correct? So, Mr. Chanwai?
Yes. Good morning, chair members and committee members.
Good morning. Yeah, if you could make us a brief presentation in light of the opposition letter, and I know we would like to hear your justification for a significant reduction to the west side lot line.
Yeah, so at the current moment, the homeowners have a garage at the back. If you could zoom in a little bit more on the outline of the existing. So the existing garage, the closest setback that it has currently is 0.28 meters. And the garage doesn't really fit like a proper car in there. It's not safe. And what we're providing is 0.35 at the nearest part of the westerly property line. And the reason for that is if we provide a 1.2 meter setback, then we won't even be able to park a car in there. It wouldn't be a legal size from the zoning perspective. And with the issues right now currently with a lot of the cars being stolen in Etobicoke, the current homeowner has 2 cars, one for his personal self and one for his wife. So they would be parking in tandem to have at least some sort of like safetyness in the sense of like they won't get their car stolen. We are also, it's not a variance, but we're also providing more landscaping because we're reducing the depth of it when it comes into the backyard. And regarding the letter of opposition, it says 2 stories, so they could have a little bit of storage in the attic space, and the attic space is accessible only via the access hatch inside the first part, like in the main part of the garage. So there's no connection of it into the house. There's the only way to do it is with the pool downstairs, like they typically put in your garages, and then or an attic per se, and then you could put some storage up there. I also want to mention that if you scroll to another image that I sent, which looks similarly to like a map of the area, I think it's supporting map material. Yes. So if you look at number 5, number 7, and number 9, those 3 homes there have the similar scenarios that their existing garages are really close to the property line. And the neighbor that has the objection, which is the owner of 3 homes, number 10, 12, and 14, he's the one that's addressing that it's too close, the objection of the 2 stories. But there's already precedence in the street And I also want to point out if number 10, 12, and 14 might want to do this in the future, to have like a proper parking spot inside the garage and they want to attach it to their dwelling, they would have like a similar variance when it comes into the side yard. And then if you look at the other ones that I've circled, number 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28, they're very similar widths, if not a little bit wider than my clients at number 8. And again, if they decide in the future to add a garage attached to their home, they would run to the same side yard setback issues, which is the 1.2 meters. At the moment, we are only asking for approval for that one variance that we have, which is the side yard. And aside from that, we are okay with landscaping. We're okay with the lot coverage. There was no other issues with the gross floor area, no height. So that's the only variance that I'm asking for approval for the side yard setback, so they could have a proper parking in tandem inside their garage, and their cars to be kept safe and not exposed on the driveway because of the many cars being stolen in Etobicoke at the moment. That's one of the main reasons for the tandem garage, and then because of storage for that. Also, I'm sorry not to go in circles, but the person that filed the objection letter also mentioned that we were overdeveloping the property, but this home is.
Sir, you have 20 seconds to wrap up.
Yeah. So the home currently is 2 stories, and it's been like that for many years. So that's it.
Thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Chanwai?
I have a question.
Ms. Popovic, yes.
Mr. Agent or Mr. Owner, this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this neighbor across the street based on that sketch?
It's right beside. The neighbor that's objecting is number 10. He owns number 10, 12, and 14.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
And he said that he has rentees in there based on the letter of objection that he submitted.
Thank you.
Okay. So we can now move to, we have a registered speaker who is in person. Frank Feldman.
Thank you.
A lawyer on behalf of the owner of 10 Dunning Crescent, the immediate neighbor. Mr. Feldman, if you could start by giving us your name and address, please.
Okay, Frank Feldman, and my address is Suite 414, 45 Shepherd Avenue East, Toronto.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, I'm a lawyer. I'm representing the owner of number 10 Dunning, which is the property on the west side of the subject property, number 8 Dunning, Mr. John Seaback, who submitted a written comments, and my comments will be consistent with that. I'd just like to start by saying that the house at number 8 Dunning has already been enlarged substantially from the original bungalow that was there, and that most of the houses on the street are still bungalows, relatively small structures on the properties. The properties are not that big to begin with. They're relatively narrow lots. This property is at number 8 Dunning is a pie-shaped lot, and we're submitting that by putting an addition of a two-story addition with a garage and another story above it on a second floor would just be too much massing. It would create a house that's just too large. You can see on site plan A1 that was submitted in support of the application that the addition is proposed to be built right beside or aligned right opposite the house at number 10 Dunning, very, very close to the property line. The result would be, and very close to number 10 Dunning's house. The result would be that the addition on number 8 Dunning would block the light coming into the windows on at the side of number 10 Dunning. It would also block light coming to the grass and landscaping in that area of number 10 Dunning, which has a downspout for water running off the roof. That might actually result in flooding, perhaps, because the landscaping and grass that might absorb the water would no longer be existing to do that. The proposed addition we would submit also is not aesthetically attractive, is aesthetically unattractive, from the perspective of the streetscape because of the substantial additional building massing close to the street on such a narrow lot. And the new garage instead could be built farther back on the pie-shaped number 8 Dunning lot. It could be built farther back so that it's not aligning smack dead on with number 10 Dunning, and could be built, there's plenty of space to build it with an adequate setback that would comply with the zoning bylaw. The proposal calls for a second story accessible, as indicated in the planning report, accessible only from the ground level. And it, oddly enough, it calls for a window to be indicated. You could see that on sketch number A6, that there's a proposal for a mansard window design, and we're questioning why somebody would need, first of all, a separate entrance to a second story with a window if that's supposed to be just an attic or storage space. We're concerned that it might in the future be used for an apartment on this basis. As I've mentioned, the setback variance is actually results in a 66% reduction. If you take a look at it, 66% reduction in the setback, which I would submit is not minor, but is actually a very substantial and major variance. As I indicated before, most of the houses on the street are still small bungalows. This substantial variation to the zoning bylaw would actually be detrimental to not only my client, but would not actually be in keeping or desirable for the appropriate development of the area or this property in particular. Also, I would submit that it would be a precedent in the future that would be possibly detrimental to the rest of the street. And I would ask the committee how they would...
Mr. Feldman, your time is up. If you could wrap it.
Okay, I would just like to ask the committee what their reaction would be if the owner of number 10 or number 6 Dunning on either side of this property made a similar application to reduce the setback to approximately 1 foot. You would have these houses separated by only 2 feet. I would submit that's not a desirable result and a bad precedent. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you didn't expect an answer to your question, because we don't answer questions. Is there anyone else in chamber here to speak about 8 Dunning Avenue? Crescent? No? And no one online, Adam?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so Mr. Chan Wai, could you please...
Just before, I wanted to ask the presenter if he has any comments on the suggestion that planning had of approving it with a condition.
Go ahead.
I beg your pardon, what was that?
Planning has suggested approval with a specific condition added, and you didn't comment on that. I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on that approach.
My comment would be that overall, the proposal is just not desirable, and it's not minor, and I would submit that it would be a precedent that would be that might result in a series of applications like this for a neighborhood that is essentially very low density still, and would result potentially in neighbors asking for 1 foot setbacks, possibly even abutting properties, which would result in separation of houses of only 2 feet. But overall, my submission is based on the fact that it would result on such a narrow lot, it would result in too much building massing at the front of the property, undesirable for the streetscape, and potentially leading to an illegal apartment use. I don't see the need for a window and a separate entrance if the proposal really and truly is for just a garage with some storage space above it. And why would there be a need for a window and a separate entrance necessarily? And those are basically my submissions.
Thank you.
Don't go away. I actually have a question. In your presentation, you were talking about the design and how it affects the massing. And I'm looking at 24 Dunning Street, which is just down from your client's properties. And they have set back a 2-story addition and a garage, and it looks good, I think. Is that what you're referring to, that sort of treatment? Like if you have to put a garage up front, don't move it right up to the front of the lot line, but set it back.
Yeah, and my submission that a more aesthetically pleasing approach would be to set a garage back from the street and
that's
not
what 24
and not
Dunning has
emphasize
done.
it,
Yep.
and not put it close or up front. I think and my understanding is that's the recent trend in architecture, anyways. And I think there's like a trend actually to put garages at the back of the property, possibly if available, even off laneways in some new developments in very progressive designs for cities. But on this particular property, it's a pie-shaped lot, and there's adequate space at the back, farther back of the property without aligning the garage dead on with number 10 down at Dunning's house, to avoid the detrimental impacts on the house at number 10, as I mentioned. And you could have enough space there for a garage, even for a 2-story garage, that would be able to comply with the setback of the zoning, or even if it had to have a minor variance, at least wouldn't result in the significant detrimental impacts on the house at number 10 Dunning. It's just, there is adequate space.
That's precisely what number 24 Dunning has done. So I'm looking at it right now. They've set back the garage, the 2-story addition and the garage.
So they moved it back farther from the street.
So I thought you might have been referencing that property.
Actually, no, but that's a good point. That's a very good point that I'm glad you mentioned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Feldman? No? Okay, Mr. Chanwai, you have up to 5 minutes to rebut Mr. Feldman's remarks.
Yeah, so like Laura was saying, number 24, like if we're going to look at aesthetics and how the house is presented for number 8 Dunning, we are similarly to what the lawyers from number 10 are saying, that it's not flush with the front wall. Our proposal is set back from the main wall a good 16'8". So it's not detrimental. The facade of the garage is a bit set back. I believe, like I was saying, number 5, 7, and 9, their garage is pretty much flush with their house at the front. The front wall is aligned with the garage door. The owners do not intend to rent the space in the attic, it will be too small. It would never be complying with the Ontario Building Code minimum spaces for living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms. The only reason that we put in the window on the second floor is to keep the aesthetics, to have similarly look, having the little gable on the front to match the existing gables on the second floor of the main dwelling. The second floor does not cover the whole entire addition of the first. If you could please flip to A7 on the PDF of the drawings.
Okay, you
You can
finished
see
there?
there that it's the second floor of the storage per se. It's not really sitting at the whole entire depth of the garage, and you could see that there's a slope on the roof, so a lot of the space is a bit angular. It's only a little bit in there that it's full height. So I believe that it meets the four tests of the Planning Act. It'll suit the community. I also want to point out that on the number 10 side, they have a lot of small trees close to those windows that he also mentioned about shading and lighting and all of that to come into the house. I don't know, there should be a picture of the front yard that the committee staff requested. That was one of the new things that I didn't know they wanted. So it doesn't catch it all the way through, but there is trees on the west side of the property of number 10 Dunning, between number 10 and number 8. So yes, some of those. So they're saying that we're going to be blocking a lot of the lights, but again, it's our garage it's only like it's the halfway point of their existing dwelling, so we're not really fully blocking, if any. And the second floor is partial, it's not the whole entire garage. So I don't believe we're going to be blocking a lot of their natural light, like I mentioned. Plus, there is already that garage at the back there. So that's all I want to mention. And if the committee members have any questions, I'll be more glad to answer them. Also, the lawyer.
My apologies, because I am looking at the west elevation drawings right now, and I do see that there is a considerable setback, so it's not in line with the with number 10 at all.
No.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Chanwai? No. Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision on this variance to reduce the west side lot line. There is a community planning condition of approval if we proceed to an approval. So, discussion, comments, or a decision, and I would ask for a decision with reasons given the sensitivities on this.
So with that, based on the material provided to us in the presentations today, as city staff note in their memo that they believe the design has been improved because the garage has been shifted forward to better align with the main wall massing, and they do not anticipate any adverse impacts on 10 Dunning and have no objection to this variance. I tend to agree, and I would move a motion to approve, as I believe it meets the four tests subject to the planning condition.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thanks to everyone for their participation. Number 9, 141 Kingsview Boulevard. Purpose is to construct a one-story rear addition. There is one variance for a 1.63 meter longer depth, building depth than the bylaw requires. We have 9 support letters. We have no agency comments. The agent is Ida Evangelista. Ida.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Ida Evangelista.
Good morning. I noticed that you don't seem to be pre-registering with us anymore. What's the problem?
Sometimes I'm a little slow on the take there, Mr. Chair.
As long as you don't think you have any preferential treatment around here.
Never, ever.
You'll remember next time.
But I did register for this. Absolutely.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
sent in a submission. I always pre-register, Mr.
No,
Chair.
sending
I
in a
thought you were kidding
submission
around with me.
isn't pre-registering, and we ask all our agents today who haven't, not just Ida, to continue to pre-register because it is required and it helps us do our job. Thank you.
But it's always, I have all the information is always included in the email when I send in my submission, and I also send in all my registration information, unless there's a different method now.
Is that method of registration
The information is sent to the application technician on file. The pre-registration is to our general email box so that they can note who is speaking and in what capacity.
Okay.
So that's why we ask for separate requests.
Okay.
So
I'll double check and find out. Perhaps they probably sent everything to the application technician. I'll double check moving forward.
So we will
Noted.
we'll let you speak today, but I'm not even sure we need you to speak to us. Panel, does anybody require a presentation on this application? No, I didn't think so. Ida, would you be okay just leaving it that if we have any questions of you in lieu of a presentation from you? Pretty
Absolutely,
straightforward.
Mr.
Pretty
Chair.
straightforward.
It's a very, very simple, straightforward application.
Yep.
I'm
Okay
open
then.
to any questions you may have.
Okay, let's do that. Any questions then? There
No,
being
and-
none, can we have a motion?
And they have 9 form letters of support too as well. So if no one has any questions, I'll make a motion.
Go.
I believe this more than meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act and move for approval with no conditions.
Is there a seconder for Ms. Alderson's
I'll
motion?
second the motion.
Mr. Ross, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Evangelista.
Mr. Chair, maybe this is a great opportunity to take maybe a quick 15-minute break.
I was just thinking of that. Let's do that. So we'll make that 11:05?
11:05.
Perfect.
Thank you. So everyone on the line, just for your FYI, we are going to take a 15-minute break and we'll resume at 11:05. Thank you.
On item 10.
On item number 10.
Unless number 4 is ready.
Item number 4 is not present on the call at this time yet, but we will reach out to them now.
think staring at a refusal would be. Yeah?
Yeah, well, Mr. Chair, members, we'll get started in a moment. I just was told that our presenter just needs one more minute. They're virtual right this second, so I'll let you know when they're back and we can get going here. All right, Mr. Chair, our presenter is ready, so we can look to start the second session, or the second half of the morning session.
We'll now consider item 10.3 Burnham Place. The purpose of this application is to construct a one-story rear addition and a second-story addition above the existing dwelling.
Members, I need your cameras on.
Oh, I'm sorry. There are 5 variances. We have urban forestry condition 2. No other agency comments. We do have a registered agent, Bach Din, and we have a registered speaker, Tammy Cook. Mr. Din? Mr. Din, are you online?
Mr. Chair, during the microphone check, we did have communication with them. Maybe they're not back from their break. Mr. Din, are you present? Test, test. Doesn't seem like they're there, Mr. Chair. Bach Din, go ahead.
Should we stand it down?
We'll stand it down. Bach, if you're present, please. Hold on a second, Mr. Chair. Let's just see. Oh, see, Mr. Chair. Bach Din, go ahead. All right, Mr. Chair, let's stand this one down. We'll go to item number 11. Bach, if you can log out and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to consider item 11, 2 Bernice Avenue. Purpose is to construct an accessory structure, cabana, in the rear yard. A previous Committee of Adjustment application approved variances related to a new dwelling on the property. We have urban forestry requesting condition 2. We have no other agency comments. Is anyone, maybe you two folks could help me. What item are you here for? 15. 15? And sir? 12? 12 and 15, okay. And there's no one online to speak to item 11?
Correct, Mr. Chair. No one online for item 11
Okay,
aside from the agent.
Is Marin Zabzuni available to speak to us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
Good morning. I'm going to ask my colleagues if they agree with my feeling that we don't really need a full presentation on this application. It's pretty straightforward. Does anyone differ with my opinion on that? Okay, good. If you're okay, could we just proceed with asking you any questions that we may have in lieu of a presentation from you?
Certainly.
Okay, let's do that then. So panel, any questions for Mr. Zabzuni?
I have a question.
Yep.
So
Ms. Alderson.
We have a previous decision regarding the approval of a new DD or new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Has that construction started yet? Because the photographs lead me to believe it has not started yet. Yet you're back here asking for permission for a cabana.
No, it has not started yet, but it is in motion to start. I'm not sure when. They're just planning out the construction.
Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
Alrighty. So if there are no other questions, let's go into committee for a decision.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Unless my colleagues have any questions or comments, otherwise I believe this matter is relatively clear. I believe that it meets the 4 tests, and I believe there is one urban forestry condition, so I move to approve subject to that condition.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for Ms. Popovic's motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? That application has been approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Zabzuni. So Adam, we'll move on to item 12 for now.
Well, it does appear
wanna
that
check in?
Bocked in has logged out and logged back in, so let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Microphone test for Bocked in. Go ahead.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
we can hear
hello.
you.
Hello?
Yeah,
All right, Mr.
okay.
Chair, would you like to do number 10 then?
Yeah, let's do 10.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And just give me a moment.
Right.
I'm just going to sort of encapture the...
One moment, Mr. Din, while we announce the file.
So the purpose of this application, which is with respect to 3 Burnham Mill Place, is to construct a 1-story rear addition and a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 5 variances, and we have no other agency comments other than urban forestry. We do have a registered speaker from number 1 Burnham Mill Place, the immediate neighbor. I'm wondering, Mr. Din, in light of we don't know if the neighbor is in support or in opposition, but maybe in anticipation, if you could just tell us a little bit about or justify, I'm thinking about variances 1 and 2, which are really the only sort of substantive variances that you're requesting. Can you justify your coverage variance and your floor space index variances?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Yes, the proposal is for the addition on the 2nd floor on the existing building footprint. The existing building footprint is a spike split house. So when we addition on top of it, it triggers the variance for the floor space index. My client want to have more space for his growing family. That's why he want to build the addition. The variance for the lot coverage is triggered by the small addition on the sides, maybe side and rear yard of the house. It's just for the small addition for the mud room and powder room.
Okay. So the coverage is an existing situation, correct?
So it exists. The existing house is probably already at maximum 33%. The small addition trigger the variance, so it's go a little bit over for the 36.9%.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Din before we proceed? No? Okay, is Tammy Cook online?
I am. Yep.
Okay, Ms. Cook, if you could just repeat your name and give us your address before you speak to us?
Etobicoke, 1 Burnham Mill Place.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm not opposed to the submission. It was, I will say it was somewhat confusing because north, south, east, and west are incorrect. So it was really trying to understand this dwelling as it sits very, very close to us currently. So I think that just needs to be clarified that the directions are not correct, I believe.
Okay, I'm just looking at which variances have compass references, and I don't see any. I don't
The
see any.
variances don't, but the actual plans do, showing the different.
Okay, sir, you're okay. So you want the agent to explain the orientation of this project?
Yeah, well, I understand it now because I understand that the compass is just incorrect.
So that is no longer.
But I
an
don't
issue?
have any opposition. I'm not opposed to this
Okay.
project. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Din?
Oh, yeah.
I don't really think you have anything to rebut here. You have the support of your neighbor, but if you have anything brief to say, otherwise we'll go into committee.
Yeah, I don't think I have any further thing to say.
You're
for
okay?
This,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, committee? Can we go into committee for a decision then? Mr. Dalton?
Yeah, so if there are no questions, comments, and I do not believe there are any, I'd like to move a motion. I believe the application is very straightforward, meets the 4 tests, subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you. Any seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion?
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Alderson, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Din. Thank you, Ms. Cook. Moving on to item 12, 17 Windsor Road. Purpose is to construct a 1-story rear addition, a 2nd-story addition above the existing attached garage, and a 2nd-floor rear platform. There are 3 variances. We have an urban forestry condition requested, no other agency comments, and no registered speakers.
No, but as a reminder, the one fellow here in the chambers is here for 12. They're
Yes.
just not sure if they want to speak in the end or not.
Okay.
But we'll.
And we also have the agent Dino Dutra.
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to suggest, panel, that we ask the agent if we can not go with a presentation. I think this is pretty straightforward. Maybe if the gentleman in the chambers has some issues, they could be addressed by the agent in rebuttal.
Yes.
Do you want to brief
Dino Dutra here from Dutra Architect.
Okay, I
Can they
think.
speak to that?
Yeah, I actually.
I'm okay with
think
it.
One of my colleagues has pointed out that perhaps a brief presentation would be appropriate here. So, if you can proceed, give us your name and address, please.
Dino Dutra. I'm a resident of Toronto, 294 Gray Street. I operate a firm in downtown. I represent the Dong family. And we did a full right permit. We're under construction. And then we want to make some adjustments during construction, which is to square off the back of the house and encroach a little bit into the lot coverage. And it goes from 33% to 33.8%, which is not even a percentage point, which is extremely minor. And then they want to build a platform off the bedroom from the second floor, which is the only second floor structure that's being constructed over an existing single car garage. And it's going to be 10 square meters, which represents about 100 square feet, 110 square feet, which is quite small for a deck. And the leading stair out of the basement, they have a multi-generational family. They have senior in-laws who reside in the lower suite. It's essentially one family residing in one home with separate living accommodations in the basement. So they want a generous walkout with an abundance amount of light bleeding from the lower level. So this is a multi-generational family, as we're becoming a sandwich generation, looking after our children and our in-laws. And we've signed an affidavit to that effect when we applied for the permit. And the stairs lead out from the lower area, lower level. So we're going from a 2-meter wide stair to roughly 2.54. So it pretty much, the form, streetscape, character of the home is in keeping with single family homes in the area. And it's just very wide and very deep, which complies with the lot depth and all the other requirements of the zoning bylaw. There you have it.
Thank you very much. Panel, any
Thank you
questions?
very much.
Any questions for Mr. Dutra? Okay, then let's invite the gentleman in the chamber. No? No issue. Okay. So let's go into committee then and make a decision. Mr. Dalton.
Okay, so if there are no comments or questions, nope, fine. I'd like to move a motion. I believe this application, again, is very straightforward, meets the 4 tests subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion?
second that.
Ms. Popovic, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Dutra. Now move on to item 13. 22 Feltham Avenue. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling. The existing detached garage in the rear yard will be maintained. There are 2 variances. We have urban forestry requesting refusal, and then in a separate standalone memo, urban forestry requesting conditions 2 and 3. And we have 11 support letters. The agent is Mr. Benskowski, and I don't believe we have any other registered speakers.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Benskowski?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, committee.
Yeah, this is a 2 variances, very straightforward. I guess in light of urban forestry's primary request to refuse this application, they do have a fallback, but if you could just comment on your position on the urban forestry comments on this, I think that's all we need.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. I am okay with the fallback conditions of urban forestry. This is essentially a replacement dwelling in the exact same location of the dwelling as it exists today. This is a private tree. Really, any development on this property would necessitate removal of that tree. The side yard setbacks are a slight improvement from what is on the property today of 0.7 meters to 0.3. as well as the roof eaves would similarly be in the same position they are today in terms of the massing as it would address Feltham. But again, in terms of the trees, the dwelling is essentially being positioned in exactly the same front yard setback. It is not moving any closer to that tree at all.
Okay.
And
Thank
there's,
you.
sorry, one more thing, Mr. Chair. None of
Yep.
the variances are necessitating the removal of the tree itself.
Yep. Okay, panel, any questions for Mr. Benskowski?
I have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Popovic.
Thank you. Mr. Agent, so just to be clear, you're content with urban forestry condition, I believe there are 2 conditions, yes?
Correct.
Okay, and the photo that you've provided, so I understand you, that tree in the front, that massive tree, will not be damaged or moved or in any way.
Well, Madam Chair, we don't believe it can be saved. We will do our best, but in light of urban forestry, if they grant the permit, they would grant the permit. We would have to work with them at that stage.
Okay, but if, just so I'm clear, if the footprint of the new proposed dwelling is the same as the footprint of the existing dwelling, what's the problem with the tree?
Madam Chair, you've asked a question I don't have an answer to. I guess it's the replacement of the dwelling itself. The basement would be there. There wouldn't be any impact on the roots. There's no new driveway proposed in the front yard itself. So I'm with you on that. Through you, Mr. Chair. Nonetheless, forestry has made their recommendation. We are comfortable with those conditions of approval.
I hear you. I understand you. I'm just noting this is probably I don't know what the height is, but it's got to be a very old tree. It would take many, many, many years to have any kind of replacement. So that's the concern.
Again, Madam Chair, that would necessitate no development of this property at all, seeing as, again, it's essentially being replaced in the exact location it is today.
Thank you.
It would essentially make this property sterile.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Unless there are any other comments or questions of Mr. Benskowski, I think we can go into committee for a decision. Anyone?
You said it's a replacement on the same site. So the variances that you're requesting are the variances that exist now?
Yeah, you said that. Yeah. Mr. Benskowski, could you just confirm that the 2 variances that you're requesting are existing situations?
Correct. The existing side yard setback is 0.64 meters. We're proposing 0.7 meters. Although not a variance, the existing front yard setback is 6.07 meters on the west and 6.01 meters on the east. We're proposing a 6.01 meter setback to the front. In terms of the roof eaves, again, with the existing side yard setback of being 0.64 meters, the roof overhang would most likely already have an encroachment into that required side yard setback. So the massing as it would face Feltham is exactly as it is today, just with an additional floor, which again, I would note is height compliant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay with that, Mr. Ross?
Yes, that's fine, thank you. I just wanted that confirmation.
Okay, so can we get a decision, a motion to decide? Mr. Dalton.
Sure. I'd like to move a motion to approve. I believe the application, again, is very straightforward and meets the 4 tests, subject to the forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Benskowski.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to item 1467 Hockton Crescent, we have a revised application for 5 variances. The revisions affect the purpose and 2 of the 5 variances. We have 1 opposition letter. We have a planning condition. We do have a registered speaker who may be the author of the letter. I didn't cross-check that. At any rate, the agent is Katul Shah. Mr. Shah?
the agent for 67 Hockeyton Crescent.
Yes, could you give us your name and address, please?
Yeah, my name is Ketul Shah. I'm the resident of Brampton. It's 58 Church Street East.
Okay. We do have a speaker. We don't know exactly what they're going to say. Does anyone require a presentation on this? No. Ms. Alderson, are you okay with proceeding without one? Okay. And everybody else? Okay. I think, Mr. Shaw, if you're okay, this is pretty straightforward. Now, you are going to be hearing from, and you'll have to address comments from Mr. Khurshid, but would you be okay at this point not making a presentation to us? Your application is very straightforward. And in lieu, answering any questions that we may have at this point? Is that okay?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, let's
Yep.
do that. Let's do that then. So panel, any questions or comments for Mr. Shah? No, okay. So then let's hear from Mujahid Khurshid.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Could you just repeat?
My name is Mujahid.
Yep, go ahead.
My name is Mujahid Khurshid, Mr. Chair, and address is 65 Hockeyton Crescent, Toronto, Ontario, M9W3L6. I'm the adjacent neighbor of 67 Hockeyton Crescent. I have expressed my concerns in my written submission sent out as an email attachment on 21st of July. I will summarize my concerns over here, but because I put a lot of details in my written submission. My first concern is my neighbor installed the post of garage 2 right on the property line, and few years later he extended his roof of garage 1 right over the wooden fence, and on top of that he installed the gutters hanging over to my side. So that's the concern, major concerns, but I provided the details in my written submission. My main point over here is if I respect the property line and city by laws, I expect the same thing from my neighbor. So I'm requesting city, my neighbor has to move back the post and the roof of garage 1 sitting back away from the property line, respecting the city by law. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Any questions, panel, for Mr. Khurshid? Okay. Mr. Shah?
Yep. So
you
we
now
understand
have
the concerns of the neighbor. Yeah, we understand the concerns of the neighbor at 65 Hockeyton Crescent, and what they see on site existing. It is excessive. We do understand that, and we have been meeting with the city staff, and with various discussions, we got to an agreement that we will demolish a lot of the roof, a lot of the excessive built-up on site, and then currently it's for around 45% coverage area, and with discussions with city staff, we did agree, and we did submit the revised drawings where we are removing a lot of the roof area and bringing it down to 37% now. So what the neighbors see on site currently, it's not what will be built as part of the application. We also agree to remove the roof and remove a lot of the buildup.
Okay, but you're not proposing to change any of your revised variances, correct?
No. The drawings we submitted, do show removal of a lot of built-up existing structure.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Shah? No. Okay, then let's move into committee for a decision.
So members, in your additional materials, there is revised wording to acknowledge the fact that the existing side wall of the garage will be altered to comply with that new setback.
But the notice says to legalize and maintain the existing attached garage.
Yes, and then the applicant made revisions. So in additional materials, the revision page says the existing west side wall of the garage will be altered.
Okay, that was in the revision page. Thank you.
And there's a planning condition
Yeah.
associated with this. Yep, go ahead, Mr. Dalton.
So I'd like to move a motion. I believe the application meets the 4 tests, subject to the planning memo. And I guess I should then also note the application as revised.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion?
I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Popovic, thank you. All in favor? That application has been approved unanimously. We can now move to our final item of this morning, number 1521 Gort
We
Avenue.
had one that we stood down.
Oh, yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah, they said final item, so.
Number 4, yeah. Okay, the potentially last item of this morning. 21 Gort Avenue. Just bear with me while I introduce this matter. The purpose is to legalize and to maintain the existing dwelling and existing detached garage in the rear yard that are currently under construction. A previous Committee of Adjustment application approved variances related to lot area, gross floor area, height, side yard setback, and driveway width. We don't have an order to comply with this one. We have urban forestry condition 1 being requested. We have a Metrolinx advisory. We have support from neighbors on file. We have a speaker in the chamber, that's you. And we have, actually, we'll be hearing from the agent first, Mr. DiGior.
Mr. Chair, you're one ahead of yourself on you there.
No.
Or on item 15.
Oh, yeah. You're the owner.
I am.
Okay. My suggestion here is this is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
2 variances. Does anybody require a presentation from Ms. Lewis? Okay, Ms. Lewis, would you be okay with answering any questions that we may have?
Yes.
And avoid you from presenting to us? That'd be good. Okay, thank you. So, any questions? Comments?
I have a question. If it's legalized and maintained, but there's something that's under construction.
I can answer. So we have our building permits, and when we had our as-built done, there was a deviation. We received a notice to comply from our inspector, and there was a couple of issues, a number of them that we fixed, but the 2 that were remaining are the ones that are before you today. In order to comply with the front setback, would require demolition or an application for a variance. So this was the route we would prefer to be able to do. So we're here putting that to you today. So I guess it's to be able to maintain what is currently there. Does that answer appropriately?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Ross?
Yeah. No, that
Okay.
explains it.
Okay.
Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
So,
Mr. Dalton.
I will move it. I think the application is very straightforward. It meets the 4 tests. As such, I'd move a motion to approve, subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for Mr.
I'll
Dalton?
second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. All in favor? Your application is approved unanimously. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay,
So-
Mr. Chair. So back to item number 4. Now, I'd like to bring to your attention someone who isn't on my list of attendees has recently appeared. on the Zoom call or the WebEx. So I'd like to do a quick microphone check with them. Maybe they are the agent under a different name. Microphone check for Ashley Reeder. Ashley, go ahead. Microphone check, Ashley Reeder. Ashley, go ahead. Mr. Chair, I'm not totally sure what's going on there.
Good morning.
Oh, hi, Ashley. May I ask, what are you interested in for the Committee of Adjustment meeting?
It would be for 16 Benstrow.
Oh, okay. Sorry. And are you now the agent then for it, or representing that?
I am. I'm representing.
Okay.
Okay, did you pre-register?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Chair, it appears we have the agent now, Ashley Reeder, not what we had as our agent, Clinton Duchuk.
Yes, Clinton had a family emergency and actually had to fly out of country.
Okay, so we can proceed with you acting as agent. If you could just repeat your name and give us your address, please.
My name is Ashley Reeder, and our office address is 14 Ashdale Crescent in Clarington.
Thank you. Okay, this one agency report on this application from planning, which is to refuse variance 3, which is the reduction in the percentage and amount of rear yard soft landscaping. I'm presuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we agreed with planning and refused that variance, I'm guessing it would likely affect the entire viability of the project. Or am I wrong?
You are correct. You are correct on that. So we have spoken with planning and agreed that after construction was complete, we at that point then would remove all the gravel and comply with the soft landscape at that point. But for safety reasons, with having the scaffolding and such up, it is safer for the contractors to work on gravel as opposed to mud.
So you're saying you will improve upon the amount of soft landscaping once construction is complete?
That is correct.
And to what extent will you be improving that situation?
The gravel and interlock that is around the gazebo and around the house will be removed and sod will be put in its place.
How do we know that?
But how does that compute mathematically in terms of what percentage of the rear yard will be soft landscaping?
So from my understanding of this project, 45 to 50% will be put back to soft landscape. Just around the pool will stay interlock. Everything else will go back to soft.
It's be one or the other. It's not both.
Okay, I don't think we have any speakers online, Adam, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So we have that singular issue of the planning refusal and the agent's explanation for why it's what it is for now.
So, Mr. Chair, the agent just stated that the soft landscaping in the rear yard would be improved to 45 to 50%. So is she withdrawing variance number 3?
Or either withdrawing it or changing it to 45%.
As opposed to 12.
We would be okay.
She would still have to tell us the number then in square meters.
Exactly, that's why I asked for the numbers. See, I guess my thinking is...
Am I able to get...
During,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I listened to your explanation. I'm thinking that during construction, is not really the issue as it relates to how much soft landscaping there is during construction. It's post-construction that we need to be addressing here, as far as I'm concerned. And that if you can define quantitatively what the end result of soft landscaping will be in percentage and meters squared terms, we could potentially revise variance 3 and consider this application on that basis. Does that make sense? Or no? Yeah?
Yeah.
Or remove it.
Or remove it.
Or if it's 50%, then there's no.
If it's 50%, you don't need variance 3.
Right.
If it's 45%, you do.
Okay. Are we okay with removing it and we'll put it as 50?
Sure.
Well,
So
Okay.
we'll deal with this as an application for 6 variances and removal of 3. That is correct.
I had one question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Madam Presenter, you've indicated further communications with planning. Is there anything in writing to commemorize that? Because the date of the refusal recommendation from planning is July 24th, 2024. Last
I
week.
had a phone conversation with planning. And that was, I'm just looking back here. That would have been on the 24th as well.
Huh.
I had called her and spoke to her about it.
Okay, so that aside, is the final decision to remove variance?
Yeah, I was just
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
say, yeah, that's the track we're on. And if we do that, planning's issue is resolved. So, okay, so are we ready to go into committee then?
It's just 3 that you're removing?
Yeah, we're moving 3. So it'll be 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And 7.
Yeah, then we're ready to go into committee.
That's what I thought. So we're in committee, and we are ready for a decision.
So unless my colleagues have any further questions, I'm prepared to propose a motion to approve the application subject to the removal of variance number 3.
Okay, is there a seconder for Mr. Ross's motion?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? That is approved unanimously. Thank you very much, ma'am. And the morning session is now over at 11:48 a.m. So I'm presuming we can recommence at 1, or?
That's right, Mr. Chair. For anyone that's still on the line listening, we'll look to start our microphone check at about 12:15 or 12:45, and we can start
You're not pinching. You don't want to wait 15 minutes, or?
I don't think so.
We'll
No, it's
do
all
it
right.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock we'll start.
Let's go.
Thank you. If members would like, feel free to hit start or stop video on your
So cameras
on your
off,
WebEx.
folks.
Thank you.
Rick, can you turn your
I'm
camera
just doing
on?
that now.
There you go. We are good.